Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Night. Tonight we're going to be playing Darksiders II from THQ.
Yes. I know you don't have a lot of respect for THQ.
I don't know, they make some good games. I mean, if you cut out all the wrestling and the whatever else. I mean, the Saints Row.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably about it.
Yeah. That Darksiders is kind of, I wouldn't say their flagship IP, but one of their main AAA titles.
Well, I mean, I didn't get to play the first one. It's not really the kind of thing I'm into, but I don't know anything about this, so this is all going to be kind of a big surprise for me. And since you know the most about it, you'll be doing most of the talking tonight.
Oh, so no pressure.
No, not at all. Anyways, please check out some more episodes. We've got loads of other episodes online. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Games for All podcast. We just did a 2-part episode to kick off the season, worst games ever. Please check those out if you haven't already. You can also check out all our stuff, including the audio podcast that we used to do, over at our Tumblr blog, which is www.thegamesforallpodcast.tumblr.com, which is awesome. We've also, before we get started, worth mentioning, we've rescheduled this season. We've added a few games here and there, and the schedule is thus. It is subject to change, so the date is not exactly set, but we'll just give you the month. So in September, so next month, which is just right around the corner, we're going to be playing Family Guy Back to the Multiverse.
Hey.
In October, we'll be playing Dishonored,
Hey.
which I'm looking forward to. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Also, Beans is October. It wouldn't be right unless we did our live Halloween special.
Yeah.
Fair enough. In November, it's going to be massively packed. We're going to be finishing with no less than 4 games in November. Assassin's Creed 3, Medal of Honor, Warfighter, and Call of Duty Black Ops 2 as a double episode, and Far Cry 3, if it ever gets released. That's, here's hoping.
We'll see.
We will see. So, Darksiders 2, I have no expectations whatsoever.
Okay.
So, let's do this. By the way, this is my kitchen. I've just moved house.
Love the desk.
So between filming the last episode and filming this one, I've moved house, and the only room in the house that there's any freaking space to film in is the kitchen. So that explains that. Let's play Darksiders 2.
Let's. Cheers.
Awesome. So like I said, no expectations at all. I mean, like you played the first one, and you obviously liked it. You have mentioned it to me several times.
Yeah.
Never really just.
The first one came out in 2009. It was sort of a sleeper hit. It was one of those things that it got fairly positive reviews and everything, but a lot of people likened it to God of War, where it was really more like Zelda.
Okay, so fine. That's
Zelda with the apocalypse.
Okay. Guessing it's all the same engine and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've not really.
No.
How graphically is it compared to the first one?
Slightly better.
Slightly better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it helps that I've got it installed on the hard drive. Lots of people have been complaining about the textures, but I've not really noticed anything so far.
Cool.
Yeah, obviously, it's the sequel, so if you played the first one, you'll sort of know what's going on. But it's not entirely essential because this kind of runs parallel.
Oh, okay.
The first one. So while the events of the first game are happening, this is happening.
But it pays to know a little about what you're dealing with. Okay.
It sort of does a bit here where it's kind of explaining what everything is and all that. But if you played the first game, then you know who these characters are.
Yeah. Okay.
But first game obviously followed War. He was accused of starting the apocalypse early and was framed.
Right.
And had to go about clearing his name. This one, you follow his brother Death.
Right.
And the other horseman of the apocalypse, who also wants to clear his name and wants to try and absolve him of all guilt by resurrecting mankind. It sounds all very thing. Lots of heaven and demons and all that. Very melodrama. But no, I kind of liked it. It's one of those things where I think overall concept of the first game was better than the execution. It had a tendency to drag a bit because the story segments were very sort of few and far between. You could count the number of interactive talking parts on like 2 hands.
Okay.
There really wasn't a lot of people, but no, there's this one I think is supposed to be like 3 times the size.
Okay, cool.
Has
So,
a
you
big
know,
sort of-
doing that whole bigger, better thing, you know.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. But it also suffers from the fact that it's compared to a lot of games because it does borrow
Yeah.
from games. I mean, obviously, I've already said a lot of people compare the combat to God of War. The actual exploring and everything is more like Zelda,
Right.
picking up items.
Okay.
But there's also a bit of Prince of Persia in this one. War in the first game, he was very much sort of like a powerful fighter, and it felt very sort of slow and cumbersome.
Right.
Whereas they've changed the combat slightly and really sort of speeded it up, made it more agile.
Okay.
There's sort of less kind of blocking and just swinging with pure power and lots of dodging and finesse. Also, another big gripe of the first game was you're a horseman, but you didn't actually get your horse until about 2/3 into the game.
Yeah, I consider that being an issue.
Whereas this, you pretty much have your horse from the get-go.
Sweet.
So they listen to the fans on that
Yeah.
point.
Well, you know, I can understand that. It's all down to people's expectations.
Yeah.
You know, you can't foresee some of that stuff, but something like that kind of,
Yeah.
you'd think they would have done.
Interesting to note that the whole art style and art design was by Joe Madureira, who was a comic book artist, worked on things like X-Men and stuff like, sure X-Men comics back in like the 90s and stuff, you remember how they looked really, really awesome.
Yeah.
He did all that,
Sweet.
so
Okay.
actual artwork and this is pretty cool. And you pretty much start off.
Nice.
Here you are. Riding my horse. They've really sort of upped the scale. I mean, in the first game you were pretty much you spent the whole game on Earth,
Yeah.
near enough, sort of 100 years after the apocalypse, so obviously demons had settled in, it all changed a little bit, but in this game you sort of travel around a bit more, you visit different worlds and they're a lot bigger. The whole game is kind of set out whereas you have a hub sort of area where you get your missions and you have like an open world that you can explore, and then in that open world there are various dungeons where you get your gear and follow the story. There's certain areas where you can't use
take
your horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, you have all sorts of other cool stuff.
Sweet. Do that action,
Yeah. Okay.
tutorial. Bang. Yeah, I get the whole war thing, yeah. But, I mean, it's not like God of War invented that shit, so
No.
whatever. We can't really... It's just that that's the most popular thing of that kind of hack and slash. Pretty cool, that's better.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Obviously this one, the big thing is you did pick up different weapons and everything in the first game. You really couldn't change your character at all. There's like one alternate set of armour which if you collected so many pieces your appearance would change. This time there's a full loot system.
Yeah.
So you get different weapons, all that. Like you get a primary and a secondary weapon. Secondary weapons tend to be sort of hammers and axes and stuff, really big slow stuff, or claws which are much faster.
Yeah.
So you can kind of mix up the thing, but you also get gear which, as you wear, as I'll show you, changes your appearance.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stuff there. There's what your abilities and what stuff you have is there. You've got like a skill menu where you level up and that.
So, I mean, as far as the first game goes, how much of this was in that? Like the skill tree and all that kind of stuff? How kind of much leveling up could you do?
Well, you leveled up basically by using your weapons, so you were kind of limited. I found that I focused more on one weapon and leveling that up to get it faster. And better, whereas this one is more leveling up the character than the actual weapons. You find weapons in this that are higher level, you find stronger weapons.
Okay, cool.
So there's more impetus to kind of
slightly deeper.
Mix and match. They've really tried to sort of make it deeper. The first game was very sort of bare bones. Very loose sort of RPG mechanics, whereas this one they've kind of made it a bit more. And also it's much faster at navigating. But there's still the whole bit of exploring, which was a pretty big thing in the first game. I can have a hammer.
Sweet.
And you find like some treasure chests and stuff that you open up, and it's all good. I played a bit of this already. Started a new game just for the show, this episode, but I actually really liked it. I really like what they've done with the game. So I quite enjoyed the first game anyway, but like I said, I think
a lot of people did. I mean, it sounded one of those things, despite the obvious flaws and how it wasn't as deep an experience as people probably wanted it to be. They probably saw potential there, and hence why there's a lot of love for it, and hence why there's a sequel. That's kind of cool, though.
Obviously, like most sort of beat 'em ups and stuff, you have certain moves like quick taps does quick executions like that, and whereas if you vary the bit more story, you press buttons in certain different combinations in different ways, then you perform different moves. So there's definitely impetus to sort of mix and match. But the overall story I think is pretty cool. The voice acting is amazing. I mean, in the first game you had Mark Hamill playing sort of, I suppose, the major sort of sidekick in the first game. Oh yeah. Also, when you find new equipment, you can choose to equip it straight away, so you don't need to go.
That's
to go
cool.
through.
That is cool.
It brings up and kind of you get green and arrows to
That is a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah, so you don't actually need to go into the inventory and sort things out. You can sort of see for yourself there and then what's better and what isn't. This hammer is basically the same size. You can just choose to pick it up. These boots are slightly better, so if I hold down the back button, it equips them. Same model, just slightly different colour. But yeah, you get gloves, boots, armour, and shoulder pads, and various other thingamajigs. Yeah, a lot of what I found is War, you can just see from the character model, if you played the first game, he was a very big, very cumbersome, more power-based fighter, and therefore kind of reflected in everything from like just the normal game to just fighting to navigation, and they've really kind of sped everything up. Death is much more agile, and everything feels faster.
I do like fucking harder in this game as well, so far.
Yeah.
More of like,
Yeah, you get that. You in the wide open areas, you're mostly on your horse, but you get like small sort of areas where there are treasure chests where you need to do a bit of climbing and you need to puzzle it out, and figure out ways of getting there. And
Yeah.
there's also some sort of rudimentary puzzles that you'd expect from this sort of thing. I've not encountered anything too difficult at the moment,
Yeah.
but it's all good. And the beginning of the game pretty much shows you the basics of everything that you really need to know about the navigation. It does a pretty good job of that, whereas you sort of it makes the first game feel a lot slower.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, because you'd encounter things at various times, and like navigation, you have to learn how to do this, learn how to do that, whereas it pretty much throws everything at you. So if you have played the first game, you'll be pretty familiar with how to play it, and you'll be able to just zip through this bit. But another game which this hasn't been, well, I've not heard many comparisons to, but it always reminded me of, was the even the first game was the Soul Reaver series,
Oh yeah.
Legacy of
Yeah.
Kain. It really reminded me
Now
a lot
you
of
mentioned
them.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, big
I
time.
mean more so this one because the main
Yeah.
character. It looks like him, but first sort of mini boss fight. Watch me get my ass whooped. Obviously, another problem is the camera can be a bit funny. If you're fighting one particular opponent, then you can hold down the left trigger and it locks on, and it kind of gives you your bearings. But when you're fighting mobs of people, it can be a little hard to see them if they go flying off
Yeah.
camera. It can get a little bit annoying, but and that thing that I've become there, that's sort of the Reaper form, which there was an element of that in first game Walker turning into a demon, and
Yeah.
once he gathers so much power and transform into that thing, you can, as you go through the game, find out how to transform into that, which is cool. So there's lots of different powers to unlock. Before in the first game there's one trader who would teach you all your powers and everything, where you collect so many souls or so many items and you get to trade it for knowledge on how the game moves. Here there's like, you get skill trainers, you get item vendors, you get all sorts, so plus you learn skills as you level up.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
lots of mixing and matching and it's cool stuff like that. I think there are two sort of main skill trees. There's, I can't remember what they're called, and I don't really want to go into the menu because it's not very exciting, but you get kind of the warrior skill tree and the wizard skill tree, so to speak. So you can focus on performing abilities and spells and such, or sort of combat skills.
Cool.
So you can mix and match and really tailor it to how you want to play. Learn lots of different things, like you can summon ghouls or teleport behind people and slash them open as you go.
Cool.
Stuff like that. But yeah, you can also access the menu and sort of, as you level up and gain skills, there's sort of new moves to learn, new combinations and stuff, much like a beat 'em up really.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this early section you get by with just mashing.
Yeah. I was going to say,
Yeah.
how much of it can you get away with not really trying.
Yeah, but later on, sort of certain moves, like although you can get by with just the slashing, if you sort of time your attacks right, it's the same combination of buttons, just with the spaces between. You can do things like that. So. Whew. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Not really quite to plan.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I was aiming for. That's no problem with the game. That's no fumbling with the controls. That's just my sheer ineptitude. Oh, I hate it when we do that. But yeah, has certainly feels a lot more Prince of Persia.
Yeah. No, I'm getting that vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the story of the vibe too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Which is not a bad thing at all.
No. But it reminds me of that sort of with the cutscenes as well. So they really have got some. Even in the first game, they had some amazing voice actors. Like one of the characters I know for a fact reprises his role. I cannot remember his name, but he was Toe Cup in Mad Max and Bennett from Commando. You know the guy.
Yeah.
He plays one of the sort of demon bad guys who kind of helped War in the first game, and I know he comes back to this one.
Yeah.
Like I said, you had Mark Hamill as your sidekick. This time, Death is voiced by Michael Wincott, who I think was in The Crow and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Alien Resurrection, and trying to think of other films he's been in, but he's got one of those voices. If you imagine it, when Death speaks, if you imagine more American, you know who he is.
Okay, I'll try.
He's the bad guy from The Crow.
Yeah,
Which is kind of funny because you have a pet crow in this, who you don't like very much.
Why should I care about your brother's fate? Because you know the truth. Your secrets conceal.
The cutscenes are a lot better. It's hard to say actually. So far, they seem more sort of numerous. And that's not a bad thing. I don't think in my way, because you know what's going to make this stand out, because it does borrow from so many games. It's always going to be compared. It's going to stand out. It has to stand out in the story, and I like the story. I like the concept. Who doesn't think the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse are cool? I mean, how many?
Not enough games. Basically.
And how often do you get to play as Death?
Also very true.
Let me pass. Not yet. That which you gave me, you will take it back. In exchange for its secrets, you agreed to keep the amulet.
So, what are your thoughts and feelings?
Yeah, I actually think it's alright. I mean, I don't know if it's something I would play, like, I don't know, but it's definitely, like, I can see a lot of influences from other games that I like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of more tempted to play it now, having seen it, than I would have been otherwise. Yeah, it's kind of... It's one of those things, if I started playing it, I'd probably really get into it.
Yeah.
But I have so many games to play and hardly any time to play them, so I can't see me actually playing this. But, you know...
I will say, the first game, though it's quite large, I did get through it fairly quickly. I mean, I think I didn't play. I played for like maybe a couple of hours, 2-3 hours a day, and I got through it in about a week and a half. So it's very long. And this is War, but not quite. It's not actually War, but obviously the people who played the first game will know exactly what moves he's pulling off, and to me.
Must be a Wednesday.
That's normally as far as it goes with quick time events.
Okay.
Just mashing in.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to.
The occasional QTs I can forgive. Like,
Yeah, they
it's
tend to
not-
only.
It's not Battlefield 3, which is fine. Okay,
It in the first game, it tends to only happen during the boss fights,
okay.
and it would be sort of mashing.
Which I kind of expected. Right?
Yeah, one particular button when you sort of.
Yeah.
No, I think they've put a lot of work into the character design and the art style and
Yeah.
everything. It's got pretty high production values.
Like something THQ's put out.
Yeah. I mean, THQ has been in a lot of trouble recently. And I think
Yeah.
if anything's going to save it, it's going to be games like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of screwed up that they had a whole expansion plan for Saints Row the Third,
Yeah.
and instead of actually releasing it as an expansion, they're now making it the fourth game.
Yeah.
You know you're in trouble when you got to do that shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Unless the ideas for the expansion were fucking awesome, they're like, shit, this could be 74. Okay. Who knows? But it doesn't seem very good.
No. Well, they've been in a lot of trouble recently. I think they're kind of relying on this game to do fairly well.
Haven't they lost their license for like all the Nickelodeon and kiddie stuff now as well?
Yeah.
That's pretty much where their bread and butter was, that and the wrestling stuff.
But they were working on. I mean, they also released the Space Marine game,
Yeah,
which I actually thought was pretty cool.
they did quite well,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
Yeah. Lots
Is
of.
there any plans for more than that though?
No. So they're not going to do a sequel for that, even though they blatantly set it up for a sequel. They were also. This is the weird thing. They're also doing a Warhammer 40,000 MMO,
Ah, well,
but they've now decided it's not going to be an MMO. It's going to be a single player game. They're using all the assets and everything for that to make it
kind
single player.
of, it's kind of a smarter move, but
Yeah.
because like with MMOs there's so many now, and kind of it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to have. I mean, sure, they'd probably make a fair bit of money straight off the bat, but like to keep that money going, to maintain all that servers and stuff, it's going to be really good. Anyway, Darksiders 2.
Yeah. Back to
We
this.
talk about THQ all that, but so
Yeah, well, that was pretty much the intro to the game.
cool.
Nice sort of little show, a bit of everything, get a bit of story, get a bit of mystery, find out what's going on. Much like the first game, obviously, like I said, guys like this, although you didn't meet him in the first game, you will instantly know what he is if you played the first game. But I think they do a pretty good job of explaining what they are. They're pretty much giant dwarves. These are the makers, they're the ones who created the world and all the worlds. And this is kind of the first land that you traverse. Voiced by James Cosmo. Oh yeah, there are some names on there.
Yeah.
With it, the last of my people. Is that not what brought you here, Pale Rider?
I seek the tree.
What the art style kind of reminds me of, and I'm not sure if any of the creators would take offence at this, but a lot of the concept art and stuff for World of Warcraft, I sort of get that vibe just from like the character design and things like that. I don't know if you... I just got twatted. there you go. Right, so now we've seen a bit of combat, we've seen a bit of traversal. Where we're going now is we're going to sort of one of the hub worlds. The first hub world, which is kind of this town. Oh, there's a conversation tree now.
Okay.
You didn't get it was all pretty much in the first game. It was all pretty much cutscenes.
Yeah.
All scripted dialogue.
That's cool.
So now they've really kind of given it more sort of RPG elements.
Yeah.
Like, they're not too made
Not
it too
like a fucking 80-hour deep fucking. You can
yeah.
do a billion and one things before you even hit
Yeah.
the main quest.
Yeah, you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours going through menus and inventory and stuff. And
It's kind of cool. I think it is something for those people who like RPGs and the kind of hack and slash stuff,
Yeah.
but without it being too. I mean, I don't know how many people still. I mean, there's always still a lot of people playing Skyrim and shit, but like, how many people will play this over Skyrim? And, I mean, I'm sure they'll head back to it, but like, you know.
yeah,
I mean, you've got both. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I will always be sort of picking up and playing Skyrim now and things. It's just one of those
yeah.
games.
I mean, that's one of those. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas where I think games like this have an advantage is they are sort of very sort of structured up. I've leveled up, so I can now get the skill. Yeah, Harbinger and Necromancer, you get to choose where you put your points and what you do. Teleport slash purchase that. Yeah, obviously that's, I think yeah, you press down, brings up menus so you can pick what skills you do, or you can quick menu them.
Yeah.
So you pull left bumper, that comes up,
Alright.
press the face
Okay.
buttons.
That's cool. I mean, like you say, it's they've obviously learnt a lot from the first game. Like, I think, like you're saying, it's kind of the fans who are responsible in some ways for it being that popular,
Yeah.
gaining a sequel.
Yeah,
Let's be honest, THQ being very picky about what they're doing now. It's a big deal, really.
yeah.
I think.
They've obviously invested a lot of time in this. I mean, this
Yeah.
game comes with the season pass for like DLC and stuff.
Yeah.
So they've obviously
Real
got
fast feature,
yeah, post-release support
Sure,
and
yeah.
content.
So it's nice to know.
Yeah. Plus, there's loads of like free extra stuff, like signing or creating a THQ account, and
Which will be useless in about a year or so.
yeah,
Probably.
probably. But by doing that, it gives you extra stuff, and so on and so forth. Oh, missed out on some treasure. Treasure hunting. There's a lot of running around and collecting stuff. I mean, I've noticed already when the first game did this. Although they've implemented fast travel as well, they kind of had it in the first game, but it was a bit long-winded.
Yeah. Not so
Um,
fast travel.
Yeah, I've already seen sort of certain things in the game that I can see, but I can't interact with until I reckon I get. Yeah, I'll put that. I'll pick that one up. Yeah, kick-ass axe. But yeah, certain things that I can't interact with yet,
Yeah.
that I'll maybe have to run back through and find later on.
Yeah.
So there will be the whole kind of going back over areas and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, your crow friend you can probably see on the mini map in the corner.
Yeah.
Shines up green. You hold down the left stick and he kind of guides you where you need to go.
Awesome.
So things like that. There's lots of different things. Also, clicking down the right stick,
Cool.
things like this. So it's good for like picking up bombs, or I think you get guns and stuff. It's like kind of secondary weapons. And you have like an aim and sort of third-person mechanic. Yeah. Like I said, I think they're really investing a lot in this game.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I mean, when you've got something that people want a sequel to that did all right, and a team behind it who are willing to listen to the fans.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good for that rather than them being stuck at wankers and being like, no, this is the game we want to make, not the game that you guys want. I hate that kind of shit. So at least there's that kind of team behind it. And you know, with THQ, it may have been somewhat of a risk to make a sequel, or it may have just been a really kind of easy decision for them. I don't know.
I mean, even in the first game, they invested a lot in the IP because there's like a comic book prequel for it, and they've also released a novel that's set before the games and stuff, and obviously with all the DLC and everything.
Sounds like they are trying to make it like a really big franchise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and hopefully they'll survive long enough to we'll see more entries and stuff.
Could be anything keeping THQ afloat.
Yeah. Obviously, this sort of thing, if you get any sort of DLC armor or any of that, which you get quite a few of, this is where you can sort of pick it up and do it. We're not signed on to live at the moment, but I think if I was, I'd be able to pick up extra weapons and stuff that I download and put codes to, whatever. So, yeah. Come here and talk to the big lass.
Maker's beard. The rumours are true. A horseman in the Forge lands. The name's Alia, and that's my brother Valus.
It certainly is a lot more RPG than the first game. Like I said, you had like one vendor and he kind of acted as a sort of a waypoint.
Right. So that's probably maybe what they were trying to maybe not go that route completely. And they obviously haven't with this one, but it's obviously what people wanted, so
yeah,
it's always good.
But
Now seek the aid of the makers. I guess we've all fallen.
I'll just kind of get through this so I can show you the big open world.
Aye, but both imbued are the corruption.
Why does this concern me?
The way to
skip
retrieve
in.
we are makers. Before the Forge was
We learn about what we're learning about now is
and we need our Forge.
this cauldron.
Yeah.
It's kind of the first sort of major dungeon. The first bit that you need to do this in order to progress in the story.
Right east of town, right
So-
through the charred pass and towards the cindery peak of the Stone Father. There, you will find the cauldron.
I may have need of a blade.
Obviously, you can't access the stores at the moment, but some of them you
I
can.
think not. We
Um,
fight for the survival of our realm and our kin. We've worked
right, go and find the next bit. It's all good.
So, I mean, just because obviously I don't know much about this, I haven't really been following it, but it's been out over here for a day or so.
Yeah, it came
at
out
the time
here.
of recording this.
Yeah, 21st of August came out. It came out
So
in the
what
States
are
on the 14th.
So what are the reviews like?
Overall, I think fairly positive. Sort of high 80s, 90s, 4 or 5 stars. Certain people like it more than others. I mean, our favourite internet journalist over at IGN didn't like it as much.
Shocking.
They gave it a 7.5, which is a good, but they had a lot of criticisms about it. But I have to say, I wasn't too happy. I watched the review and there have been a lot of complaints about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like it. I like the first one. But I think this is much better. There are a couple of technical hang-ups, like occasionally you sort of go onto menus and it sort of hangs a bit and you need to wait for it to load up. But my experience, I think, once with the first game, mostly on like the title screen, it'll take a while to sort of kick in.
Yeah. Not the end of the world.
But yeah,
His friend is dead. Have you wisdom to share? Wisdom ain't like tea. Enough to stay clear, but one so cleverly.
oh,
Oh, I'm yawning a lot, a bit silly because it's late. It's not that this is boring, I'm just
no.
tired. You know,
Well, obviously that there will be sort of certain challenges, like you'll need to defeat such and such in order to progress to such and such a place, and so on and so forth. There's lots of collectibles and things
awesome.
to get.
I don't know why, but like, and this is really weird because we've mentioned like the traversing and stuff and the games that kind of reminds me of. But I don't know why, but maybe it's because it's more recent. Just Enslaved popped into my head for some reason.
Yeah.
And it did earlier as well, but like for some reason I just thought.
Well, again, that's the sort of a brightly colourful post-apocalyptic game. So it is.
Common,
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me of that. I was thinking about Enslaved the other day and thinking how much I want to play it again. But yeah,
I still need to finish it. But.
Yeah. This does have that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I say it borrows from so many different games, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. 'Cause it seems to take the best bits.
Yeah, but then like those games are
Okay.
borrowed from.
Yeah.
So it's not really.
That's a
Wow.
bit messed up. Basically, in this land, there's this corruption going around, and you need to try and stop it.
Yeah.
But this is kind of your first sort of wide open area. I'll bring up the map. Sort of see. This is the sort of town where you were at, and you are kind of here. So there's the various areas and places that you can see. But obviously, when you're here, you really want your horse. So
Yeah, would be beneficial.
obviously, you can fight on your horse and do various things. And that thing looks at you. I don't like it. But see, this kind of reminds me. Although they've made the worlds bigger, they've not really sort of populated them that much. You get a few sort of areas on the way here and there, or places to kind of stop off and pick up treasure, but
Yeah.
it feels fairly sort of sparse and empty, and it kind of... People have been complaining about that, but I kind of like the overall scale. It reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus, where there was nothing in the overworld at all apart from these bosses that are loading.
Like you said, you have this installed on the hard drive, so
Yeah,
that's about as quick as that's going to get anyway.
yeah.
Still.
God knows what it would be like if it wasn't installed.
Yeah.
Like this. This is just kind of a stop off on the way. You kind of like you're on your way. You can just completely bypass this, or you can explore it a bit and find some treasures.
Cool.
Do some more traversal. But there's stuff in there. Oh, here's another sort of vendor. Obviously, he gets a very sort of brief introduction here, but this is actually a character that's in the first game, and simultaneously, as he's helping me, he's also helping my brother in the first game. And I have to say, he looks exactly the same. They've not updated the model or anything.
I've been expecting you.
But he is kind of...
What brings you crawling out of the ship?
sort of skipping all this. But
I merely follow. I carry things others will. Go on.
he kind of gives you interesting stuff. A gilded box contains a random enchanted item. Well, I'll take that. Also, he's the guy to come to if you don't like the skills you've picked or you want to change
You
or
swap them
something,
out.
you can
Yeah.
respec.
Sweet.
So you're not tied in there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is, yeah, that's always a good thing. It's not locked in.
Yeah. So yeah, I just bought a new weapon, which is this thing.
Jesus.
Yeah. Pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of War Sword. There's a lot of aesthetic choices. I think it kind of reminds you of the previous game if you played it. Lots of little nods. and everything. Oh. Another loading area.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because we're just about to come into another sort of big area now.
Yeah.
So you get areas here. You can explore around here. You can find lots of loot and treasure and enemies to fight. Like you can fight. Cool.
Never really had any work out, did it?
Pretty cool. But yeah, there's certain other things. Obviously, you get different level weapons and all that, but later on in the game, you also get possessed weapons that you can actually level up yourself by feeding them other items and equipment that you pick up.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, whether you want the money to buy skills or anything, so you sell your loot, or when you want to keep it to level up items later on. But yeah, fighting on a horse, there's a certain skill to it. It's mostly kind of like running. But this is what being a horseman's all about, really. There you go. You find treasure and you find various things. You normally find money or potions or... Ooh. Hells yeah. That's an upgrade for your main weapons. So you find all sorts just by exploring about, and it's all randomised.
Yeah.
So
This is no place for
there's plenty of reason to explore.
One thing I've noticed, if you look at the ground, the shadows seem to be like layered in.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, that's very strange. It's the only thing I think I've seen visually that I can complain about. They're saying that in some of the cutscenes, the graphics haven't been quite that amazing.
No, not in some of the close-ups.
Kind of, I don't know. Like, I kind of forgive a lot of that shit, even though in this stage and in this kind of how far we are into this generation, we're coming to the end of it now. We shouldn't really have that kind of shit.
No. Yeah, this is quite a large game.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, it's almost, it's not quite open world because there are paths, but there's a lot of scale to it, there's a lot of size to it, and you can move between areas. Like you see, the landscape has changed depending on which area you get, and that's something it had in the first game. So like every area felt kind of unique.
Yeah.
And that's, I think you've got this realm, which is the realm of the makers. You have the land of the dead. You have an area of heaven, and then you get to visit Earth as well. talk to.
A rider has come to the realm. Not another one. You're the
Lots of characters, but we're about to enter one of the dungeons, which is kind of, you go in, solve a certain puzzle, and you get a piece of equipment, which you then probably have to use to get out again.
Felt a corruption fair long ago. I can still feel the fire itself rumbling deep in the air.
I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
Why not restore the
So
fire
he will
yourself?
open the gate for us.
Just for that perk.
Oh, new boots. There you go.
Awesome.
Obviously, it kind of appeals to me because I'm one of these people who loves collecting and finding things. So, if you're one of these people who kind of like obsessively, compulsively has to find anything, there's a lot of reason to keep playing this game and keep exploring. But,
Well,
I think we're coming to the end. I don't want to sort of spend ages just kind of like playing the game because obviously I want to just play it for myself. But you know,
it's awesome. It's you know, like I said, I had no expectations at all, but I'm quite pleasantly surprised by this. So
yeah,
I guess that's one thing. Something I wasn't really expecting. So it's cool. So Darksiders II,
out now.
go grab yourself a copy because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's very unlikely I'll pick it up and play it, but you know.
Maybe you'll borrow it or something.
For those who are into this, so for people who really enjoyed the first game, they're pretty much gonna.
Yeah, this is
The same.
more
the
and better.
Sweet. Awesome. Okay, so as we mentioned before, Darksiders 2 is out now. Go pick it up. It's awesome. So we've also already mentioned the games we've got on our schedule. We'll just mention them again briefly. Next month we've got Family Guide Back to the Multiverse coming up. October, Dishonored and our live Halloween special. And in November we'll be playing Assassin's Creed 3.
Which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I know, that's what we put on the list. Medal of Honor Warfighter and Call of Duty Black Ops 2 in a double episode. It's going to be pretty crazy. And Far Cry 3. So
Hopefully.
fingers crossed if that's out this year. If not, we'll just drop it from the list. But thank you very much for watching. Please check out our other videos. You can go to youtube.com/GamesForAllPodcast or check out our Tumblr blog over at thegamesforallpodcast.tumblr.com. There you'll find absolutely everything we've done. And also check out our very good friends over at Underground Geek Network. Head over to undergroundgeeknetwork.com. They do a really awesome show every couple of weeks. Audio podcast about everything geeky. Pretty much sums it up. Please check them out. You can check us out on Twitter at GamesForAll and on Facebook, facebook.com/GamesForAllPodcast. If you want to email us, it's thegamesforallpodcast@gmail.com, I do believe. So, for now, anyway. So, it's getting late here. It's tiring. It's tiring doing this stuff. But thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next month, as I said, with playing Family Guy. That'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be fucked up. So thanks again for watching and goodbye.
goodbye.
We have no idea what we're going to do next year, but chances are it's not going to involve James, and enjoy it because it's probably never going to happen again.